Piggybacking on last month's GLP-1 newsletter, another wellness trend currently is red light therapy. Recently, Mallory has received many questions about the red light device she has been using, at my suggestion, to help treat her recent postpartum skin and joint problems. I was a very early adopter of red light or near-infrared (NIR) therapy and have owned a full body panel and other devices since 2018. I have used it mainly for anti-aging skin benefits or to treat isolated muscle or joint pain with pretty good results. Since I am a believer in this therapy and many of you have DM'd her with questions about the device, she has asked me to do a newsletter on this subject and help answer many of your questions. Before we dive into the science and my recommended devices across varying price points depending on your budget, I want to touch on my personal experience with light. Light truly is and for all of us. The first memory that I can recall in my life involved an interaction I had with light. I was very young and laying on a wood floor, and a beam of light came through an open window and bathed my body in warm light. It was honestly the most wonderful feeling I had ever felt. All these years later, I can still feel how it energized my body. My love of light and my awareness of how different types of light make me feel has actually continued to shape my life as an adult. I have always preferred being outdoors in natural light. Indoor artificial light just feels wrong to me and certainly not as energizing. Case in point, during my medical training, I considered being a general surgeon since I loved doing surgery, but spending the bulk of my days in a windowless operating room with harsh artificial light was a lifestyle I knew I couldn't tolerate. Another example is that I tend to avoid malls and big box stores with their many high-powered fluorescent lights. When I'm in artificial environments such as that for prolonged periods of time, I notice a difference in how I feel. Bottom line, my life experience has taught me that light has a powerful effect on the well-being of my body. Onto the science, the new science of photobiomodulation. I understand the science behind how light can affect the biological functions of my body and why I feel good when exposed to some light and bad when I'm exposed to other lights. The study of how light affects the body is called photobiomodulation, or PBM. This science describes how different wavelengths of light actually deliver energy to our bodies, helping it regulate many important functions conducive to good health. Okay, so let's talk about some examples of how different types of light affect our bodies. Blue light helps set the body's internal clock so that important functions occur at the correct time of the day. Red light and infrared light, on the other hand, energize our mitochondria, which are, the important powerhouses of our cells. UVA light helps produce neurotransmitters and hormones. And finally, UVB light is what helps our bodies produce vitamin D. All of these wavelengths of light I just mentioned are present in natural sunlight. I am actually one of those doctors who is not afraid of judicial sun exposure because the light the sun provides has many health benefits. But using the sun's light to benefit our health isn't always practical. The problem with modern life is that we spend about 93% of our time indoors, which makes us deficient in these beneficial wavelengths of light. Light devices can really help correct this. Also, when a specific light wavelength is desired, as opposed to the sun's full spectrum of wavelengths, light devices are the preferred way to achieve that targeted benefit. For example, I like to get the anti-aging benefits of red light and infrared light without the aging effects of UV light. In fact, since the 1960s, Scientists have been exploring the use of red and near-infrared light for many health applications. First, lasers were used to obtain beneficial wavelengths of light, and later, the much cheaper LED lights were found to provide most of the same benefits. This lower-cost option led to the proliferation of LED red and near-infrared devices now available for home use. So, what is red and infrared light? On Earth, humans evolved with exposure to many different forms of energy. The sun mainly emits energy in the form of visible light that we can see, and invisible infrared energy that we can feel as heat. UV light is only a small portion of sunlight. Our human bodies evolved learning how to harness and adapt to the sun's solar energy. The energy from solar light is transmitted in wavelengths. Red light has a 630 to 700 nanometers wavelength, which is actually the longest wavelength in the visible light spectrum. It primarily penetrates the skin and underlying collagen. Near-infrared, or NIR, light is right next to red light on the spectrum, with an even longer wavelength of 700 to 1000 nanometers. This longer wavelength allows it to penetrate deeper into the muscle, tendons, and bones. For a more powerful impact, these two wavelengths of light are usually paired together in devices to get the health benefits of both. So, why have the red and near-infrared wavelengths of light become so popular? A combination of red and near-infrared light has been a big area of research due to its healing and anti-aging properties. Some of the benefits of red and near-infrared light actually came out of NASA research, as scientists worked to improve the poor light environment in space that was detrimental to astronauts' health. Research has found that the energy from red and near-infrared wavelengths delivered to our tissues can be beneficial with very little potential for harm. Red and near-infrared devices have been cleared by the FDA to use as anti-aging skin treatments to reduce inflammation, to encourage hair growth, to heal wounds for pain relief, healing of muscles, joints and tendons, dental health, and even for fat loss and eye conditions such as macular degeneration. New indications are being studied, and in the future we may see it used for neurologic health and even infertility. It's fascinating science, but honestly very technical. If you want to learn more, I have included these references. The list of indications for red and near-infrared, or NIR, devices keeps growing. Some therapies really do require consultation with a professional to determine the right dosage, frequency, and timing of the treatment. Personally, I have only used my in-home red light and NIR panel for skin, muscle, and joint indications. It also helps my mood in the winter when, it's just harder to get outside. I follow the recommendations provided with my devices. Each device has a different power, which can affect the time spent and the distance away from the device needed to obtain the correct dosage of light. What we know about how red light and NIR light works is still growing. I'll be the first to admit that the science is still evolving when it comes to the use of red and NIR light devices. Since there are just so many beneficial effects, many theories exist to help explain the benefits these wavelengths of light have on our health. Some of the most accepted theories are: first, mitochondria are present in every cell of our bodies, except our red blood cells. In simple terms, mitochondria are the engines of our cells. It's very technical, but in essence, red and NIR light can penetrate into mitochondria and improve its energy production. Energy is needed for a cell to function properly, to produce collagen and elastin in skin, to lower inflammation, to speed healing, allow fat to be liberated from the cell, improve the cell's antioxidant defenses, improve the functioning of immune cells, to improve blood flow, and to stimulate hair growth. The list is long. Red and NIR light has positive effects on cellular signaling molecules, reducing the production of pro-inflammatory molecules. Red and NIR light can stimulate cellular repair and regeneration. Red and NIR light can alter expression of genes and transcription factors. Red and near-infrared devices can also help to counteract the damaging effects of excessive blue light, especially from all those tech devices we use every day. Again, if you enjoy reading and want to dig further into some of the science behind red light, feel free to read at your pleasure. Science fact: there are honestly so many beneficial effects, but the main theory is that red and near-infrared light can enhance energy production in essentially every cell type in the body, thereby enhancing the health and performance of almost every type of cell in the body. So, things to consider if you're contemplating a red light or near-infrared device. Just a quick heads up, this isn't medical advice. Red and near-infrared light therapy is really just a tool in my toolbox. I've definitely experienced good results with it, but, I also have to eat a well-rounded diet, get some movement in, get enough sleep, and avoid toxins and all that good stuff. It's a great therapy, but don't expect it to be a standalone miracle. And if there are no constraints like budget or space, I personally like full body panels. I'll talk a bit more about next best options below. I've been using my full body panel since 2018, and it just hangs on the back of a door. Honestly, if you're able to make the investment, this is where you really get the most bang for your buck, since the full body panels have better power density. That means less time is required for a treatment, and you can use it to treat any or all parts of your body. Smaller devices, like a face mask, have a lower power and only treat a small portion of my skin. But the advantage to smaller devices is that they're cheaper, they're more portable, and they can be a good way to try out red light or near-infrared devices. So, quick science fact. The energy delivered by a device is called irradiance. It's calculated as milliwatts of energy per centimeter squared of surface area treated. Most typical devices deliver somewhere between 40 and 100 milliwatts per centimeter squared. The device manufacturer should really be testing their devices to determine the irradiance and providing you with that data. This is actually pretty important to know, since light is like most things. There's a sweet spot. You can get too little light and, no benefit occurs, and you can also overdo your exposure to light, which can actually inhibit the beneficial effects. So here's something important to keep in mind. Not all wavelengths of light are known to be beneficial. Typically, most devices use red light at 660 nanometers and infrared light at 850 nanometers, since these wavelengths have demonstrated benefits. Now, for a little healthier self action. Red and near-infrared light devices can be a great in-home therapy to add to your health regimen. If you're ever in doubt, always consult your health provider before starting at-home light therapy. Alright, so how do I use my full body panel? When I want full body exposure, I stand about 12 to 18 inches away from the light so that the light is dispersed over a greater distance. When you stand at this distance, the penetration into tissues is more superficial. It's great for surface skin, but not so great for deep muscle. I usually do 6 to 10 minutes on the front and then turn around and repeat 6 to 10 minutes on my back. It is important to follow the specific instructions that come with your device. Reputable companies will provide recommendations for how to use their device properly. If I want to treat the top of my head, for hair benefits, I can lay on a bed with the device 6 inches away, or I can spot treat an area such as my knee by putting my knee 6 inches away from the device so that my knee is the focus of the treatment. Getting closer to the device increases the depth of penetration. Again, I really like the versatility of a full panel. Since I started using a red light and near-infrared panel in 2018, many brands have come on the market. Currently, my favorite brand is Bon Charge. Let me share why I like them over others. First, they have a great selection of devices and price points. Second, I also appreciate that their devices have the proper power and that they provide protocols for their use. Third, the wavelengths they use are also the wavelengths mentioned above that have been well researched. And finally, I'm picky about EMF exposure. Any electrical device emits EMFs, which can reduce the mitochondrial benefits. Their full panel has the lowest EMF rating on the market. Plus, an additional benefit is that the light they use is flicker-free. Flicker can be really irritating to our nervous systems. So, let's talk about some other recommended devices by price point. First, there's a budget-friendly and versatile option. This one can sit on your desk while you work to target your face and neck, or you can use it to treat other parts of your body. Next, in the mid-range, there's a device that's really targeted to the face. Honestly, it's not my favorite because it lacks versatility. Then, there's a half-body panel. It's not exactly cheap, but it's definitely more affordable than a full-body panel. And finally, we've got full-body panels, which you can find here and here. These are the most significant investment, but they can easily treat your entire body. Please note, if you have skin that is sensitive to light, or if you are taking medications that can make your skin sensitive to light, or even if you have a history of skin cancer, you really need to consult with your provider before starting any light therapy. Light therapy in pregnancy hasn't been studied well, so it should only be done when it is recommended by a provider and, under their guidance. Also, it's important to note that darker skin can respond differently to light, so sometimes adjustments in protocols may be needed. Finally, while red light therapy is actually used to treat some eye conditions, you should never expose your eyes to excessively bright light, which is present with some devices. Eye protection is definitely advised in these instances. And here's a health yourself action. All devices are not created equal, so do your research, be picky about what you buy, and always follow the instructions for that specific device. And that's a wrap on red light. If you've been curious to learn more about red light therapy before making an investment in a device, I really hope this helped. Until next month. Your women's health expert and advocate, Dr. Brenda Smith, Maryland. Dr. Brenda Smith, Maryland. Newsletter provides general health information for educational purposes only. The information in this newsletter is not to be used as a substitute for medical advice, cannot diagnose or treat any health condition, and does not substitute for care from your own in-person physician. Any questions regarding your own health should be addressed to your own primary care physician or other healthcare provider. Unsubscribe. Sent by Money Talk Mal, 1201 Northwest Briarcliff Parkway, 300, Kansas City, Missouri, 64152.